All right, what's up, guys? I'm here with Billy. His film, The Stanford Prison Experiment, just premiered. So tell me about it. What first attracted you to the role of Phil?
Well, when I read the screenplay, it really takes you in a way that, if you read a lot of screenplays, typically you get a couple pages and you go, maybe I'll have lunch.
Yeah.
This one, from the second I picked it up, I was, much like seeing the movie, I was glued to it. And it wasn't so much about Zimbardo when I read it, it was about how provocative this study was and how interesting the screenplay was in telling it. So for me, the story itself was really expertly done. Then I started to research Zimbardo a little bit, and I was like, oh, no, I want to play that guy. He's a fascinating, fascinating man. And, the screenplay doesn't, and the movie doesn't, it's not a character study of him. Right. It's more about the circumstance in those 6 days. So there wasn't a lot, I couldn't elaborate a lot on some of the details of him, but it was certainly entertaining to research him.
Yeah, and do you let hints of that come through in your performance, or is
I try to. The fact of the matter is, when Kyle is trying to make the kind of movie he is, the mandate is to keep the action going. Yeah. Like it's about the events that we as an audience are witnessing at the same time the researchers are. So if you try to elaborate on your character study a little bit, they're little red herrings. They don't go anywhere. Kyle's got enough on his plate that he has to put into what's a really intense and demanding movie. It demands a lot of an audience, and I think people with an appetite for ambitious movies like this will really appreciate this effort.
Well, it is, and I think it has so much to say about today. We had the protests in Ferguson. We had, there were prison riots. I mean, I remember covering the RNC, and I got arrested. And what it is all reporters are put into this pool along with protesters, and it's just them versus us versus them, the people who are in the suits. And no one's a bad guy, but I feel like
the people who are in the suits, you just said it. So we create all these structures in our society, all these roles that we play. I mean, even the clothes that we're wearing represents something of the image that we want to project in our socialization, right? So I think the idea of the experiment was, let's not recreate a prison. Let's just do a pantomime. You put on a guard shirt, you put on a prison shirt. Let's see if you act any differently. And what they found was that situations like that are much more provocative, personally, deeply, for people, that they lose sight of their own sense of self. And so I think what he began to discover is there's not really a sense of self. There's a lot of role-playing. When you're a social person, you're not a good guy or a bad guy. Context, trying to understand how you fit in the world, play a big part of how you behave.
Yeah, definitely. And in doing your role, you kind of became part of one side of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so was that a natural thing to have happen for your character, or was that...
I always end up... for me, I always end up, when I'm working on something, siding with the point of view of the character that I'm working on, because I appreciate the complexities in people. So I want to play a dude who fucks up. Excuse my language. Wait, I want to be... I understand that people are dynamic and make mistakes. And, there's not always room for that in a movie. We like to identify things as... That's why we go to movies. We've compartmentalized a complicated world into something we could see in 2 hours and feel relief at the end, But I've always liked playing characters that have the potential to behave in ways that are really difficult to understand and appreciate, and to find a way to humanize that. And Zimbardo, for sure, we're watching this movie, and halfway through, not even halfway through, we're going, hey, dude, stop the experiment.
Right.
You're an idiot, and you're watching his ambition. Not just for his own academic career, but his ambition about social change. He thought he was doing something really important. It got in the way of, like, the minutia of that, like, kids were being hurt in the present moment. Like the future is later. What's happening right now, And I think it's so fantastic the way that Kyle depicted that, because you really get to see the moments when he misses the point. Right. He just keeps missing the point, and it's excruciating. And we often feel like we'd be in there doing something different. But he made a great point the other night. He said, the fact of the matter is, the good guards didn't do anything to stop the bad guards. the prisoners that weren't suffering didn't do anything to help those that were suffering. So there was no real good or bad guy in this situation.
No, that's really interesting that you say that. Yeah, because those were the camera always made note of that. you know?
And so if there is no good or bad guy in that situation, maybe it's the institution itself which is flawed. Like that, maybe we have a better way to institutionalize people who don't know how to behave in civilized society. Maybe a prison is not the only way.
Yeah.
Maybe guard uniforms are not the only way, but it's become something that it's a tool we've used for so long that I think, and we've tried to do it very well, I think, in many circumstances. Obviously, there's really clear-minded, intelligent people with good values who are trying to do good things in prisons and institutions. But maybe the fundamental ideas of those things are flawed.
Right, and especially this day and age when a lot of prisons are privatized, and then that incentivizes our current structure. So a movie like this, I think, coming out this day and age.
Healthcare is another one. Education's another one. I mean, the financial industry is another one. We have institutions, and we, of course, are born, and we think these are the way our society works. But we're the ones who created those. So when they begin to affect us, when our creations begin to affect us in ways that we didn't intend, it's important that we kind of go, all right, well, maybe we need to consider some other alternatives.
Yeah. For you, I mean, you do theater, you do film. What's your favorite? What's your passion?
Well, I have to say I love stuff like this where there's nobody here anymore, but all of us had a wonderful dinner last night. We went and saw the movie yesterday, and the cast members spent maybe 3-4 hours afterwards all talking about the movie. And I'm different than the way actors normally talk about the movie. It was, I hated my hair in that scene, Yeah. This was about the potential of social change, understanding the complexities of this kind of... I love being a part of that stuff. I love getting in way over my head, talking out of my ass, and then learning something, being humbled by my ignorance. All those things are great. So when I get to do it in work, it's sublime.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
Now, if you had an ideal role, it could be a historical person, it could be a superhero, like your ideal, who would it be and why?
It's so funny because, particularly in times when you're not working, you try to imagine what would be the best potential for you as an actor, and I'm terrible at it. I have such a limited imagination for something that I would, like a passion project or something like that. I'm the sort of actor who has to wait on a director who has a point of view like Kyle to come in and say, I have a story that I want to tell, a very specific story. This is how you would fit in. Then my mind starts getting going on it. But I can't kind of sit there in a vacuum and go, I should be playing Andrew Jackson. That's the part. But I've got actors around me who, they've been doing that since acting school. They were the ones who had they came in with the one-man show, and I've just never been that kind of actor. I wish I was, because it'd be great to be an engine in your own career. At times when no directors are coming to you.
That's cool. But you like kind of being put in a box so you can work your way out of it, given the character.
Exactly. Just tell me. I'm interested in the storytelling, maybe more so than the characterizations. I tend to get pretty creative with the characterizations once I understand what the story is, because, like with the Stanford Prison Experiment, I didn't want to spend too much time on developing all the idiosyncrasies of Zimbardo's motivations for every single moment, because that would have been a little bit too difficult for the audience to internalize while they're trying to take everything else in. So for me, the context was really important. That dictated the kind of performance that I gave. So once I feel sort of safe in understanding how I fit into the storytelling, that's when I begin to get more creatively excited.
So then what's next for you?
Well, I did a film called Spotlight with Tom McCarthy about the Boston Globe when they uncovered all the church, the Catholic Church was paying off people who had been injured by priests, and that was a really terrific experience. And I did another independent movie called Life at These Speeds with a first-time director named Leif Tilden, about a young runner, and I got to play the coach this time. I did a movie before where I played a runner, so it was fun to. I'm graduating and.